Good morning from Restoration Acres. So we're on day 5 of the greenhouse journey, and the heater, this Palma heater that everyone raved about was so inexpensive to run, is not inexpensive to run. It's very expensive. My wattage tripled, which is understandable, really. I mean, it's trying to keep this 12 by 18 structure above temp, so it's understandable. So interestingly enough, even though this dropped down to 24 degrees, this never froze. Not sure why, but my seeds, like my seed bed, already was wet. It was covered. There'll be no germination happening right now because it's definitely too cold in here. So anyway, I had an idea. My house is really close to the back side of this, so I built a heat transfer system. We'll see how it works. This is kind of temporary until I get my water, my big water barrels put in. So I'm going to have the water barrels on this north wall and put a piece of insulation. Anyway, I built this box to go to my window on the other side. There's a fan on that side. I need to put a solar fan on this side. So I'm not running any additional electric, but I just basically built this like 1.5, 2 foot high. It's actually quite warm. My basement I keep at like 60 degrees. I get an extremely good price. I'm part of a cooperative, and you buy in anyway. The more I use, the more I save, kind of thing. I typically use around 700 gallons a year. So anyway, I'll be watching to see how this affects my tanks. I cannot imagine it's going to be a huge change. We're already up to 31. I actually took an old blanket, put it over it, but if you see, it's all plasticed, over, wrapped up in poly. It's stapled. Sorry, I keep dropping my phone. It's stapled to the sides of the window underneath to try to ease any loss. This bathroom here was a hot mess anyway because it had a leak. The water you see right now is just snow that came off the table that I brought in. But anyway, this right here is my setup. For now, this room is needing to be aired out anyway. It's actually all the bad wood got pulled out of here. We just haven't done anything with this room. So this room isn't being used anyway. But there is a vent for heat just underneath this table. So this fan is going to push air from in here. The heat is set at 58 degrees down here. So I'm going to come back down and see how much the heat changes. See if it's going to be worth it or not. It certainly seems warm. Of course, I can't find my solar fan where I put it. Where I thought I put it, it's not there. So yeah, this has risen about 7 degrees since I did this. Of course, the sun is sort of out. Sort of, kind of. We've had really, no sun here in New Hampshire. I brought my microgreens inside the basement so they get a chance to germinate. Yeah, so winter growing, we're still figuring this out. I do think the radiant heat's going to help. But I'm sharing my successes and failures with all y'all. I think had I planned this earlier, before the ground froze, I could have put in a heat sink, which basically you sink usually like a large bucket of water is usually your best conductor of heat. Concrete, I think, is the next best, and so on. But from what I understand, if you sink something down into the ground, and then you have a pipe, and it actually collects the heat and then pipes it back up, there has to be like a fan set up. So I'm gonna look into that for next year, for next winter. But we're gonna duke this out with winter, and I'm determined to have freaking greens in here one way or the other. So we'll figure it out. But I'm just taking you with me on this journey. We just bought some soil, and it's frozen freaking solid. So that we won't be doing anything with quite yet. Probably drag that inside the basement, thaw it out a bit, see if we can't get it more usable. I did put the I did put the old shower door over this last night, which hopefully helped protect it somewhat, but nothing's going to germinate. Anyway, it's supposed to be sunnier next couple of days and just really, really freaking cold. So it was like 6 degrees out. So, I mean, in the greenhouse's defense, it was 25 in here. But that was with this heater working like hard. And that's just not a solution. So we'll try this. The fan, I know, does not take a lot of wattage. I use it a lot of times to dry my clothes. When our dryer went down, and it didn't change my wattage use, kilowatt hours at all. So I'll let you know. Anyway, thanks for following.